Rise up and conquer them. I am a man. I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 91.9 and 91.5 RealFM radio, 92.9 Sister Al Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Instagram, wherever you are viewing. Good morning to you. And of course, with me in studio today, I have none other than Mr. Roland Bola, my faithful co-host. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning to Ms. Duncan, and of course, I don't know why the addition of the word faithful. However, I'd like to give a good morning to all our listeners, wherever you are in this world, or whatever part of Grenada you may be listening us from, by whatever means, whatever device you're using. I say a very blessed and happy Thursday to you. It's another good day. The weather is fine, in my opinion. I did not witness any rain in my neck of the woods. Neither did I observe any falling showers on my travel into St. George's, which was a bit early this morning. I came in early because I had some other business I needed to tend to before coming here. However, though, I really do hope that we'll have a wonderful ride today together on this program, Hard Talk. That will be able to engage you in a very meaningful way, that the subject matter for discussion would be one that you would partake in, participate, give your views, whether it's by a phone call or by making a comment or sending us a WhatsApp. We'd appreciate. We do believe that discussions of those nature, of that nature, is vital for our survival, one, but more importantly, it will help us in the decision-making process to determine where do we go from here, what do we change in what we have been doing, and how do we eventually end up with a product that is going to be a positive and meaningful product for all of Grenada to benefit from. So, sit back, let's engage, let's talk. I look forward to today's program.
Absolutely. And guys, if you're wondering what the topic is for today, of course, we found it necessary for us to revisit the topic of the reopening of schools because so much information has been given in the past couple of hours from last night's national address by the Minister for Education, along with some other releases that came out subsequent to that. So we thought it was necessary for us to start the conversation once again, simply because there have been some comments. Some people are stating that they still don't quite fully understand what. I mean, I'm laughing. It's really not funny, but I can't judge, so I'll try my best to provide as much information as I can in a way that they may understand.
Well, hopefully.
In a way that they may understand.
Hopefully.
Of course, using from my own experience being a parent as well, and from what I understand as a parent, and of course, from the information that I've collected from speaking with personnel in the Ministry of Education. So I'll try my best to try and help you. I do, however, want to touch on a quick topic, a quick issue, Mr. Bola. Yesterday, I remember when we were ending the program, I appealed, Mr. Bola. If I didn't beg, I beg. It's only tears. I didn't cry. To ask persons when they're going under the live video, it is, and a matter of fact, it's not even a live video. It was a pre-recorded message, national address. So the comments really were there, but it's not like anybody was going to respond to them because it's a pre-recorded address. But further from that, the ignorance of some of the comments, some of the people underneath those posts it was just upsetting. And I'm hoping, Mr. Bowler, really and truly, as you said, sometimes the people making the noises are not the ones who are directly affected. They don't have children, they ain't a chick, not check to worry about, they're just hell-bent on making things an issue. But I am really hoping that was the case last night. Honestly, I am hoping that was the case. Because if it was actual parents behaving in that way, well,
our society is doomed. If that's the case. I try to ignore some of those comments, but from time to time, being human and human nature, well, I wouldn't say demands, but encourages you to take a peep. Someone said to you, boy, don't go there. There's a dangerous dog at the back of that fence. And you pass every day and you keep your distance from the fence. But you never heard the dog barking. So you decide just having an inquiring mind. How for parents used to say, you're so inquisitive. I think that's the word they were using. I hope I'm using it correctly, or pronouncing it correctly, that you decide to go closer to the wall to take a peep. How could there be a dog there and you've never heard it bark? And it jumps at you and it howls at you, So the inquiring mind sometimes just makes me look at those comments. But some of them are so ridiculous, to say the least. That any person who values their time and would like to utilize their time to do productive stuff should not be bothering to look at some of these comments or the posting underneath there, because there's nothing much to gain from it, and it could well be, and I am more into believing that it is just idle people about to do mischief, to make mischief, or just to create conversation or old talk that may be posting some of those things. I really do not want to bring myself to the place where I'd have to admit that it is actual parents who has children that would behave that way. Because if that is the case, and I'm really saying a big if in capital letters, if that is the case, it simply tells us and stares us straight in the face that maybe a lot of these parents are really, really, really not at the point, or have never prepared themselves, or may never be prepared to develop and grow children in a manner that they can become an asset to society. Because at the end of the day, despite the pressures that we're going through, despite the difficulties that we are faced with, what we want, and I think that should be what every parent should want, is that little boy or little girl, or boys and girls that you may have, that they will someday grow into adulthood, not just with muscles and size, but with a mindset that would make them an asset to the society that they're living, that the country would be proud of them someday. You will be proud of them. The community will be proud of them for having become valuable men and women that can give back to society in differing ways. But if we are not going to take the responsibility to teach them, because here it is. No one ever said, and I don't know whether it's in the scripture or anywhere else, that carving out a living for yourself, making life happy for you and your family would have ever been an easy task. I don't think so. So if we are not going to prepare their minds to understand that it will be a rocky road out there, it will be tough, and that unless they are very conscientious and unless they can adapt to new situations, and unless they are prepared to work hard, to have a determining spirit, and to continue to do only the correct things, they may lose their way. Maybe some parents have lost their way. And probably that's the reason why they cannot bring themselves to the place where they will comprehend what the minister is speaking about. That is why they cannot bring themselves to the point where they can appreciate and have a full understanding of the fact that the $50 that is being asked of them is for more or less a registration. Some people prefer to say it's like a rental fee. And the fact is that the tablets or the devices are being provided for you. But the content and everything else and the management and supervision of it comes with a cost, and hence the reason you are asked once a year to do so. So maybe some parents have already lost their way. I hope not. I hope it is just a matter of where some people takes a longer time to process information and understand than some others. But we do our best to have an active conversation today. Not to deliberate too much about the tablet issue, because I think yesterday we did a fairly reasonable job in trying to bring understanding, but to dive into some deeper issues, because there are issues that will affect the community and the school as a family and the surroundings that we need to deal with. The fact that some students come out of homes where they get little or no parental guidance at all, that you have others that are coming out of home where there's a total lack of love and appreciation of who that child is. You have some students coming into school and portray behaviors that are negative or are different from what is expected of them, and that may not be totally the fault of the child, but you're coming from a family background where you've never been told that you're wonderful, that I love you.
Well, if some of the parents are the ones that are raised under that live video and the live videos that we have been looking at, if some of those parents are the ones raising children, then I absolutely see why some of the children are behaving in that way. Because you are, as an adult, behaving as you lack understanding, you're being just blatantly ignorant, you're not willing to compromise, you're not willing to show growth and development. So how do you expect now your children to emulate something like that when you don't even have it in you?
Well, to emulate that is what your children will do. I mean, what the expectation is that the children will be different. But we have heard many moons ago that children leave what they learn. Right? And if what they're learning are totally negative stuff from you as the parent, I mean, you have to appreciate that is what they will exhibit.
Absolutely.
It's only going to be negative down the road. But is that what we want in our family? Is that what we want in our communities? Is that what we want our society and our country to be like? Do we want to be living in a state, and a state meaning STAT, the state of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, where all we hear on a daily basis is negativity. All we can see, all we can appreciate from all that is done, all that is given, all that is meant for us would be negative things. Because if we train our minds to only dwell on negative stuff, that's exactly what it will be. Because our minds are things that are trainable. Our minds can be trained, to think a certain way. And so too are the minds of our children, especially the children, because they're young and impressionable. They have a lot of space in their mind to take in new things. And if what you are feeding them on is poisonous to them and negative to them, well, exactly that's what they will eventually bring out as fruits, if you want to call it that way. So we really have to, as parents, as guardians, as elders in the society, make a really strong effort to be good role models, to want to practice things that are positive and essential for growth and development in the sight of our children. We want to make them know at all times that they are precious to us, even if, as a young lady, that child came at a time when you were not prepared. That, as sometimes you people say, you went out there seeking a liquor fund and you end up getting something funny. Well, you have to make do. And, encourage others to do better, and train up that funny little thing that you got to be a much more positive person than you were. And I really, really do hope for the benefit of community and for country, and even for family to a certain extent, that we will really just stop for a moment. Stop for a moment. Just drop everything that you've been doing and look back. Make an assessment. Ask yourself, have I been doing the best that I could do for self and for family, for my children? Have I been portraying a positive enough lifestyle that is going to ensure that not just me, but the children that are in my care will get positivity all the time from me, will get that kind of positive vibes that will lead them on that right road, and even if they are on the wrong road, to that corrective road, because they want to emulate the positive things that they see I'm doing. Let us all do it, even if we think as parents, as guardians, as elders in the society, even if we think that we are doing the proper things, we are doing what is expected of us, still stop for a moment. I must do it, and all of us must do it. It's called introspection, looking at ourselves, looking at our behavior, looking at our pattern of behavior, looking at our utterances, the things we say, how we say it, where we say it, and what can be gained from what we say. What is the message we are sending from our body language, from the way we greet people, from the way we skin up our noses when we see certain people? And our children learn those things, you know. It is not only the spoken word from our mouth, our children adopts and accept and learns. They look at our mannerisms and behaviors. They listen to our little groans and grunts. They realize that when a certain neighbor passes by, the way we coil up our eyes and you know, turn up our nose and twist our mouth to look at them. And they understand, as young as they are, what that means. It means sometimes to them, this is one mom or dad is not so fancy about. You know, that person may be an enemy. They look at the smiles we give to other people, the embraces, the hugs, and how we embrace them. And they understand too well, without a spoken word, that this is a friend well accepted. So we have to be careful of what we portray, right? We cannot pretend. And of course, our behavior patterns may change depending on circumstances where we are. And here I'm not pretending to be squeaky clean or to be a virgin or to be untainted. I am, and most of us are, because we've been through life. We've been through struggles. We have done things that in retrospect we'd rather not even remember, think about, or even talk about. Yes? But even though those situations did occur with us, is that what we want our children to experience as well? To go through the same rocky road like we went through? Or do we want to pave a better pathway for them? And the way to do it is to teach them positivity at all times and encourage them and lead by example so that they will take school serious. I mean, this school term that we are entering into would be a very challenging one. I mean, I've listened to some of what Minister said and I've heard the announcements thereafter. School will not, in my opinion, from what I've heard, be as we knew school to be, where on a daily basis, all children goes into the schoolhouse, go into the classroom, go to assembly, whatever, and just being taught. No, there may be demands for the wearing of face mask. They now have to be physically distant. Even in having recreation, it may take a different form or format. And so it will be much more challenging. So we need to create that environment, talking to our children and letting them know it is not business as usual, but there will be a new norm.
We have a first caller on the line for the morning. Good morning, caller. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, yes, good
Hello,
morning.
good
We're
morning.
hearing you, but very low and far. Can you get
I just
closer
want to say,
to the phone
can you
and
hear me
speak up a
now?
little bit?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I just want to say I agree with Brother Roland. He's speaking a lot of sense. And this positiveness, this is what we need. And to hear people speaking like that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. All right. For those of you who did not hear her clearly, she was saying that this kind of positivity is what we needed, and that Mr. Bola is speaking a lot of sense, a lot of positivity, and that's what we need. And I want to read, Mr. Bola, a comment that came in while you were speaking, and it reads, people have to be more hungry for education. Parents have to make a greater effort to educate their children. Our psychologists in the Ministry of Education should come up with programs to help motivate our parents. It goes further to say the cost of the devices, $50, is minimal and is easy within the reach of the vast majority of parents. I think the biggest challenge in our school is productivity. We have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. I'd like to say good morning to you and also good morning to you, Brother Bola. Good morning,
Good morning.
to Brother Bola.
Morning. How are you, sir?
Absolutely wonderful.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Right. This morning I would like to blend my voice in commending the Minister of Education and the team at the Ministry of Education.
Great.
I know it was a lot of work they had to put in, a lot of effort, a lot of extra effort had to be put in, and I trust that the Grenadian people will appreciate that very much.
Yep.
Yeah, and see the hard work that the minister and her team has been doing. That was a wonderful presentation last night from the minister. I trust by God's grace that we always adhere to whatever is being offered to us, and in the aim of protecting our children and also our teachers as we continue to fight that pandemic that we are experiencing in the world at large today. I know some parents, Bola, they are a little bit concerned as to what's happening in the school and what's going to be happening after the week of the 7th to the 12th and stuff like that, because parents will have to go to the school, children will have to be going at various days. But I trust that we all will abide by the rules and regulations. Sometimes in Grenada we do want to abide by the rules and the regulations.
True.
Some of us, we didn't want to wear the mask, we didn't want to keep the 6 feet distance. And as a result of that, the children are looking at us as adults and they too are copying, because if they realize that mommy and daddy don't want to wear the mask, big brother don't want to wear it because all kind of negativities have been said, then the children are going to adapt that and probably try to transfer it into the school. But I am admonishing all of us that we continue to instill positive values in the children and continue to encourage the children that at the end of the day, this country will be safe for all of us. That's what we all are striving for. So again, I want to congratulate the minister, and I want to congratulate the team at the Ministry of Education, all the principals associations, and all of the stakeholders who are working as we continue to fight this dreaded virus that is affecting the world. And together, by God's grace, we will be made victorious. So thank you all very much. I do wish you all a wonderful day, and may God richly bless us all.
Well, thank you too, and we wish you God's blessings as well, because it's going to be challenging, as I was saying, and you made so much sense with your comments, and I was getting into the fact that we have to be prepared as parents, prepare ourselves, but also prepare our children, because it would not be business as usual. It would be very challenging for the teachers as well and the administrators of schools, because they would constantly have to be reviewing what is happening. It's not like an easy walk in the park, and so you may get a lot more concerns coming up. There may be a lot more issues that they would have to take under their wings and deal with. So we are appealing for calm and, for positivity.
Good morning.
We have another call on the line. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ms. Zonka. Good morning.
Hi. Morning. How are you, sir? Great.
Yeah. Zonka, if like the children are going up right now, you take about 50 children and put them in a line, and you ask them what they would like to be when they grow up. They will say one will say they want to be a policeman, they want to be a teacher, they want to be a prime minister, they want to be this and that. But then to achieve that and to reach a goal, you must have some attribute behind that. You must have respect They must have discipline to achieve them things. And see, when people don't have respect and discipline, that brings failure to them. Right? I know many times we say to parents, say to children, respect, authority. But some parents don't respect. And there is a saying, actions speak louder than words. Right? Yes, you could speak something, but what is key is putting it into action. Right? You know, sometimes people say, I love you. Yes, you tell me I love you, but what I want to see from you, I want to see that love manifest. I want to see that love in action. I see the action, because love is not a word that you tap. Love is an action word. Respect is not a word that you just speak as a respect, and you do the opposite. You have to respect one another. And to be respectful, when you be respectful and disciplined, there's nothing there is no goal that you want to achieve in life that you will not achieve it. But if you don't have respect and discipline, it sets you back in life, and you will not be successful in what you want to achieve in life. So, Mr. Duncan, Mr. Bola, good morning. You all have a wonderful day. God bless you.
You as well, my brother. It's so good to hear the ordinary people out there who have an understanding continuing to express. And, you know, we are appealing, yes, to those of us who understand, but also to some of us who have a longer journey to travel before we really encapsulate what is really needed from us. And the challenges that are going to happen from now onwards until we come to a better place because of COVID are challenges that we must all face together. It's not just left to the Minister for Education. It's not a challenge just for the authorities, the permanent secretary and chief education officer and school inspectors and so. It is a challenge that we must all face together. Because remember, very early since COVID came around, it was said that we have to fight this thing together. We will only be successful and be able to combat it and overcome it if we do it together. And so I'm appealing even to some of you parents who feel, well, I'm not so much a supporter of the NNP. You too have to get on board, because your children and their education and your life later on will be affected if you go in a different pathway to where the education system wants to go now.
We have another caller on the line. Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Hi,
I'm making
morning.
it very quick.
Good morning,
Mr. Bola,
my
you
dear.
didn't answer my question yesterday.
About,
you didn't
yes.
answer any of my questions. You
I
just
tried, but
defended
so
yourself.
much people
But
was
I
calling.
understand what was happening. Now, I don't need no big, long explanation. Just the question I'm already concerned about.
Is the
who
replacement?
Is responsible for the replacement
Well, the
of-
ministry,
of-
as far as I know, let me see if I can answer
Well, let me
quickly
come
for you.
let me come off and
Okay,
listen
all
on the
right.
radio.
Okay, all right. Yes, that question was very specific. Based on our understanding is that once a device is replaceable, becomes replaceable, the ministry has to. However, I think there is something built in, and I don't know, we have to verify from minister or ministry officials whether there is some kind of contractual arrangement that the parents would have to sign. Because I think there's something there built in to say that if the device is being destroyed or damaged as a result of negligence, similar to the school books program, that if your child destroyed a book, lost the book, the book fell into water while it was in your child's possession, you then become responsible for the replacement of that book. So in cases like that, once it can be proven that the damage to the device was caused because of your child's negligence or someone in the home or some other person trying to utilize the apparatus or the tablet or the device, as we call it in several names, then it becomes your responsibility. However, if it is a fault of the manufacturer or a defect in the device, the ministry will replace it at no cost to you. So I think, again, that's a subject matter. And it's a very good question, because in the minds of some people, I believe, and we oftentimes think that way as a people, government provide, it's okay. We do whatever. And maybe it is because for so long we have, as a people, damaged government property. We have been found doing things that can endanger government property, and we get away scot-free, or sometimes, as it is being said, with a slap on the wrist. Yes? So there's that connotation in the minds of people. There's that belief. It has become culturally ingrained in us that once it's government, it's no big deal, man. We can deal with it anyhow, and government will take care of that. But I think the time has come, and I heard on somewhere before, I don't think I actually heard it in Minister's speech or in some conversation before, where Minister explained that a defect that is as a manufacturer's fault or a programming fault or something, the ministry has that responsibility. Ultimately, the ministry is who will replace. But if it is a fault of your own, if it's due to your own negligence or your child's negligence, the device is damaged, you would be made liable to pay that fee. So parents must know that. So we are already quarreling about a $50 registration, rental, user fee, whatever we want to call it. I don't know exactly what terminology the ministry is using to talk about it. We're quarreling about that. Let us make sure that we handle and utilize the device properly and in such a way that it does not come down to the point where your child will be denied a replacement because they were so careless, they were so negligent, and you as a parent is not prepared to pay that fee in order for the child to get a replacement. And remember, our children are investments that we are making. Some people say, well, when they grow up and they start, I am not sure that I can get anything from them. That may well be the truth. And I don't know that we have to depend on our children to get something from them. It will be nice if they will turn back. When we get into our golden years, when later on, after we have expended so much energy, so much time, so much money, so much effort on them, that they can look back and say, Mom or Dad, I buy you this gift, or I give you that at the end of the month, or I bring you a nice bottle of wine. Probably we shouldn't be drinking wine at that age anyway, or they will take us out to a nice dinner. Something to show the appreciation for what we have done over the years for them. That would be nice. But even if they don't, there's nothing we can do about it. That doesn't mean we still doesn't have a responsibility, having brought them into this world, to care for them and to bring them up in the best possible way. So I'm saying to us, let us assist them. Let us continue to talk to them. Let's have that dialogue, because I believe that there are some homes where our children are provided with the basic necessities for school, but there's no conversation happening. Neither mommy nor daddy or family meeting. They doesn't sit around the table or on the step in the veranda and a tree in the yard, go into the garden and say, look, these are the things that I am doing to ensure that you can get those, and this is what I expect of you as a child going in school. That is the kind of behavior I would not want you to engage yourself in. However, I expect you to be disciplined and respectable. And when I go to the school to a meeting, or I'm called to PTC, I think it is, yes, Parents Teachers Consultation, I expect to be hearing good things about you. When I pick up your book, I hope to be seeing good grades, A's. Sometimes here and there a B, an excellent, not an F. Not failure all the time. Because sometimes under our own nose, our children live under the same roof like us. We feed them, we clothe them, we provide them with money on a daily basis. And we don't have a clue of how they are performing in school. Because we never have a conversation with them. We never look at the school books. We never call the teacher. We never just drop by the school and inquire. Because we think we are doing our part by providing money for bus, providing lunch fee or our lunch container, giving them the most expensive sneakers that they like, provide them with the tie and the books. Well, nowadays with e-books with the device, not so much books, bags and what have you, do fancy hairstyle, and that is where our responsibility as parents ends. That's what some of us think. That's what some of us portray. And the rest of it is left to the teachers and principal and the Ministry of Education and the minister. So when our children are not doing well, we blame the school, we curse the teachers, we say they ain't good, that teachers and them can teach, they don't. What have you done as a parent? How many times did you ask that little boy or little girl, do you have any homework today? Did you do your homework? Did you take your time? Can I take a look at it? Did you go over it? How many times did we ask our children when they come home, how was school today? Did you have an exam today? Do you have one tomorrow? Why not put the television off at this time now and go do an hour study so that you can review your work and maybe tomorrow you will do better in your exam? How many times have we said to our children, well, you should not be looking at this movie now. Instead, look at the news so you will understand what the current affairs issue of the country is. Then you go and do a half an hour study and you go to bed by a certain time. How many of us, before we leave the house in the morning time, or when we wake up at 5:30 or whatever time to start the preparation, wake our children and say, hey, you must get to school by 8:30. So I want you to get up now, shake the sleep off of you, and do half an hour of study before you go start getting ready for school. Sometimes our children get out of bed while we're still in bed. Make a sandwich if they do. Or bathe and get dressed and get $5 from us and walk straight into the bakery as they get off the bus to buy a butter bread and a juice because we did not make sure that they had some breakfast. And maybe we don't have a lot. I mean, it has happened to the best of us. I remember the days when I was in secondary school. I went to the Montreux Seventh-day Adventist Comprehensive. I lived in La Poterie, the same place where I live now as a little boy growing up. And my mother couldn't afford it to pay the bus for me every day to go to school because I had other sisters, younger ones that were also going to secondary school. One was going to McDonald's College, another one was going to convent in Grenville. And so whatever little she had to ensure that they got bus fares. But I was the biggest, I was the first, I was the strongest. I had to walk every day from La Poterie to Montrose and back in the afternoon. But you want to hear what was even more crazy? At that time in my life, I was taking care of all kind of animals. I had sheep and goat. I had pigs to look after. I had cow up on Pointsville Estate. So I had to wake at a particular time in the morning and go up to the bushes and make sure that I fed that cattle. You know, cut the grass, do whatever, bring in some vine and breadfruit and what have you for the pig, make sure that the sheep and goat tied out. And we didn't have running water in our house at that time. So I was, being the first and the biggest and the strongest and the boy, had to carry the water from the standpipe to make sure that everybody else, as the younger sisters, had water to bathe and tidy themselves for school. Yeah? And sometimes what did I have? A cup of bush tea. People don't drink bush these days, so a lot of people wouldn't know what we're talking about. Yellow black sage and sauerkraut leaf and all those kind of things. That's new to a lot of people. But I had that and had to walk, go to school. But I survived, and I know that others would survive. And I'm making this point, not for anyone to have sympathy on or pity on me, because I'm not a person that is looking for pity. I'm making the point because my next point, because some people will say, well, you're talking about give children breakfast. Sometimes we don't have nothing to give children. What has happened to the days when people used to roast a little breadfruit in the afternoon? I used to how to do it. Get the coconut shell, get the coconut brooms, and so roast the breadfruit. And next morning, you know, barbecue is a very popular thing now, but we barbecue meat, you know, whether it's pork or pigtail, chicken, what have you. Even lamb, they barbecue or grill now. But very early as a little boy, I know about barbecue breadfruit. Hey, I mean, we didn't used to put it on a stand like they do it. But when you boil in the fireplace, which was what most families had, very few people was affluent enough to have a stove, a cooker, or, you know, in the kitchen. But you had your little outside, that little thing built outside, that was your little outside kitchen. And with firewood, you would boil the water and so to make your little beverage in the morning. And then the coals, the little coals that is made from the wood, you would peel the breadfruit, what you roasted the evening before, and place it on the coals. That was a means of warming it. And it would have little dark spots, like you barbecue it, and you would eat that. If you're fortunate enough or your family could have afforded, you get a little bit of saltfish or smoky ring that you roast on that same coals to provide a little salt, like the appetizer. Because you didn't get much. Quarter pound saltfish had to share for the entire family, whether it's 5, it was 6, it was 7 of you all. So most time what we got was the taste of saltfish, but not just saltfish, you know. Anyway, but that's a different conversation. I'm just saying all of that to say that in this modern world, sometimes we make things more difficult than it should really be, you know. And as we have said on this program already, 70% of the poverty that we see that exists or we encounter is mindset, and only 30% is situational. I think we have another call there.
Yes, we do. Good
please.
morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Good morning.
Good
Good morning, Miss Duncan.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bowler.
And how are you, sir?
Not bad.
Is that the historian?
Yeah, Mr. Bowler. When you peel the breadfruit, man, you have to soak it in a little salt water.
A little salt water sometimes.
and you put it on top of a little piece of, a little piece of netting, man.
Yeah, well, if you were lucky enough to have that, you put it. In my case, we didn't have any netting, so we used to put it directly on the coals.
Yeah, and
so it comes out with little blacky spot that you take the knife and you kind of scrape out where the areas that burn.
Obviously, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, and it's good that we can reminisce and go back to in the past and see how things were to where we are today.
Yes.
In any event, today, Mr. Bola, Ms. Duncan, I want to say to the people of Grenada, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Mr. Bola, Ms. Duncan, tell our people, do not be afraid.
Okay,
there is a scare them tactics.
Yes.
That is making the wrongs in our country, that the Chinese very soon is going to take over our country. That would not happen. I want our people in all the neighborhoods in which they are living, see who are the landowners in your community. For instance, the Gales had owned, people said when the Gales walked from Plains to Grenville, they walked on their own land. Who are the landowners today? Who are the landowners today? According to statistics, in the OECS, Grenada has the largest number of land owners. And I look at my own community, and I have checked from Canberra Bridge, we call it a bridge where the water overflows the bridge,
that's that bridge.
right into 1910. And I am only finding 2 persons of foreign nationality in that. We have 1 person in the Balthazar area, and we have 1 in the Grenada area, in which we refer to as Wheaty. 2 people within that area. So how come foreigners can overtake our country? Mr. Duncan, maybe you know, Mr. Bola, do you remember when the housing scheme in Grenada started, the one in River Road and the one in Telescope?
Yes, I do.
Right. No, that housing scheme was started during the Gary administration, and it was done by the Venezuelans.
Yes.
Is the Venezuelan owning any property in Grenada here today? So the point about it is that our country is underpopulated. For that matter, this morning I was looking at CNN, and my heart goes out to some people in America. When you look at the level of eviction that is taking place because of the unemployment in that country, and some people just cannot pay their rent. When the sheriff went to our apartment and he met one old lady, he said no. We can't evict this lady. They have to call the social services to explain to them the condition of this lady. Therefore, it brings me to the point. If in Grenada we have a caring government, and because of our bilateral connection with another country, they are providing housing for our people. One of the basic necessities of life is to be housing. And if that can be provided for a portion of your population, we should be grateful. This KDM tactics is not going to help you, NDC. Your Ken Jones program with its KDM tactics is not going to help, because as the people of the country continue to see the development that is taking place, to ensure that they can live in a comfortable place with a small installment. I don't understand what is happening, Mr. Bola. Can you help me in that area?
The fact that you bring it up, I'll give you my views. Are you finished with your points? Or are you going to listen on the radio, I guess?
You're coming over low on my
No, I was saying to you, if you are finished making your point, then I'll try to give a little explanation on the issues that you raise, since you came up with it. So it may be better you listen on the radio rather than keep your phone up.
Yes, okay.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And thank you again for your contribution.
Yeah,
I mean,
because you see, I really don't understand what in this 21st century that kind of campaign. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. And having understand that over the years, that all people, are the greatest, we have the largest on a per capita basis, the largest number of landowners. Our country is underpopulated, and that's 20,000 people in Grenada. You know what that could do for us?
Of course,
huh?
of course.
I'll 2 tomato get vexed and a beer, or 2 melon vine. Say where we go to a melon this year. Everything going to spoil because our population, we do not have that level of population to consume the number of produce that we are making, that we are producing. You look at the tourism industry. Now the tourism industry gone flat for a little while, and farmers is crying out because of our small population base. So let us get a new form of campaign and forget about, do not try to do not scare our people. And here ladies say, oh God, afraid. Chinese go take us over. That is not going to happen. Thank you very kindly, Mr. Bolam.
Well, thank you too, my dear brother. We so appreciate that. It's a little off from what we were talking about, school parenting, the devices, preparation, because it's going to be a challenging school term. But it's probably something that we need to deal with quickly. So he's asking, the scare them tactics. We saw it. Up to last night, I think I looked at a video that a young lady made, and all about it is things to scare people, But, so much victimization she was saying taking place in the country. But she hasn't identified not just one area of victimization, and that NDC is the next best choice. However, they need to do X and do Y and do the other. Now, remember, you're talking housing. You're talking about the Chinese coming into Grenada because the country at its time when it was low, after Hurricane Ivan, the government of this country had a bilateral arrangement with the People's Republic of China to provide us with 2,000 what was referred to as low-income houses. That was a time when almost 90% of the houses in Grenada was affected one way or the other by Hurricane Ivan. Either the roof was blown out, some windows came down, some went flat down. At different levels, the government was trying, repairs was being done. People who had their houses and their property insured was getting their insurance money to rebuild. But there were those who couldn't help themselves. The government of China agreed, listen, we are going to give you a grant of 2,000 houses. However, as a country, you must provide for us the land space to build, because we come in and build it. Our own people will do it. We're going to provide all the materials. We can't provide you the land. We can't go and buy land from private people and then build houses for your people. So as government, you must have some input, some equity. You must put in something. Yeah? And so government of Grenada has that responsibility to provide the lands and bring in the infrastructure, the roads, telephone lines, electricity. The Chinese people come, provide the material, provide the labor, build the houses, hand it over to government. Government, in turn, hands that to that parastatal organization known as Housing Authority, who administrates the whole distribution and collection. Why are you collecting? You got the houses free? Because money was spent to build the roads. Money was spent to bring in electricity. Money was spent to bring in water. Money was spent to prepare the land space. And a lot of money. The building is what the Chinese give. Now, there's no agreement that says Grenada owes China anything for those houses. But you know what? The people that are trying to scare you and tell you, oh, well, why the Chinese building so much houses is because they want to own Grenada. They were the same people when they were in office, came in 2008. After the NNP government provided land space for 300 plus houses, 364 I think it was. Some down at Frequente, where people are living in now, some at Monkroch, that is fully occupied, and the rest at Subis, 364 I think it was, right? It meant that over 1,600 houses were still left to be built because it's 2,000 they promised. They did not provide not even one site to build another house, right? But they said to the Chinese, you know what? We don't need houses in Grenada. So whatever it was going to cost you in material and labor to do 1,000 houses, give us that in dollars and cents. Give us the money. Luckily, the Chinese didn't do it. They listened to them, but they didn't go for it. NNP came back. NNP returned. Upon returning to office, NNP has provided 5 more sites to the Chinese. Boucherjou, Diamond in St. Mark's, the Villa in Sautez, St. David, Current in St. David, and I think it's Boucherjou you call the other place in Carriacou, or I'm not too sure. But Carriacou, I'm not too sure where exactly. I mean, I know where, but I can't remember what you call it in Carriacou. 5 sites. And what they're building on that 5 sites will amount to 600 and I think 33 or 34 houses or apartments. That added to the 364 that was built before would bring you up to 1,000. So it means that there's still an additional 1,000 houses to be built. The government is actively looking for areas in varying constituencies because the Chinese normally build like in little villages where they can put a number of houses, not just one in this spot and one elsewhere, because division of labor. They use maximum skills and labor in one place to do their work, do it well, do it quickly so that Grenadians can get it. Yes? So there's nothing in that says. And then you have other investors who sometimes come and purchase property from private individuals, getting involved in massive investment like you have in Mount Hartman happening now through the Citizen by Investment Program, a $2.9 billion US project that will take some 10 years to complete in 4 different phases, maybe run and having some Chinese at the helm of that project. What does that mean to take over? Stop scaring people, as the callers say. And callers, you must remember your history. If these people have any care, any love, and any concern for you, they will not be telling you that in the first place. And they would have done something about ensuring that there are much more houses and homes available in Grenada for the ordinary people at an affordable price, that you can get a comfortable place for you and your family to rest and be paying a price that is accommodative and suits your pocket. They would not be telling you that foolishness. So it's a scare them tactic, and honestly, we have a responsibility as a party and a government to educate our people and let our people know what their roles and functions will be, what government role and function is, and that never, in fact, it is not for the first time. And I keep wondering to myself, well, how many times can Grenada be sold out? I remember before the last election, that was the slogan. Oh, well, we sell out Grenada. Only thing left to be sold is the people. Well, if the only thing since 5 years ago left to be sold was the people, how come now you still have other thing to sell and the people not being sold up till now? So it's a regular thing that they are just reshaping, reforming, and coming back with the same old hogwash, just in a different container. So we had to wise up, as they call us speak, and be not afraid. What is happening in your country is what is progressive, what is advancing for your own good and that of the Grenadian people. And there may be instances and cases where you may not be in fully like what is happening or well grounded in it, or have a complete understanding, and you may have your queries, you may have your concern, and that is fine. You can call someone, you can speak to someone, you can ask to talk to your rep, get verification, let them give you fact check and make a decision on your own, but stop allowing people to scare you.
We have a call on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan and Mr. Bola.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, I just want to say, well, first of all, as it relates to agreement with the government, I think that the government should publish, instead of keeping secret, or instead of just coming out and saying, oh, this is the agreement we have, but they should actually publish documents, whether on their Facebook page or so that people can read and stuff. And I know the video that you was talking about, because I watched it yesterday and I almost fall down a ladder, because I don't know how NDC is the next best thing for Grenada. But that's besides the point. I want to ask, I listened to Minister Pierre last night, but I'm not sure if they would have a resumption in some schools with the school feeding program. I didn't think she mentioned anything about that, and I know that was going on before. So I'm not sure if because of the COVID that is like out the door, that's like history, or if they are going to resume the school feeding program at some point. Maybe you all would have an idea. So
I did get an opportunity to see the plan, the draft plan, and that is actually there on that plan. They do plan to resume the school feeding program in the schools, which is good, because there are some parents who definitely depend on it, and even now more than ever. So that is something that will be resumed once school gets swinging, if I should use that
Get
phrase.
settled is a better word to say. Not swinging. If you're swinging, you're unsettled. You can't put pot on swinging thing. Pot go fall down.
No, well, Mr. Bola, this is the 20th century. People speak differently now. So I understand what she is saying.
But I don't like it. I understand it too, But when school settles...
It's funny because before, no one would call you a dog. But now somebody would say, well, that's my dog. You're my dog.
I hear the young fellas into that and they love it.
So, but the thing is, if you're having the school feeding program returning, I don't know how they're going to do it, because I think they will kind of be like on a rotation, I think, for the first month. I'm not sure if they're going to be back in full swing.
Well, once Mr. Bola is finished, because he on a roll this morning, and I'm giving him his time, but once he is finished, which I'm going to stop him right about now, because he's going to take up all of my time this morning to explain to parents exactly what is going to happen. They do have a schedule, and I am going to share that schedule with the listening
and you should send the schedule to him as well, because he has children here that he has to.
Well, I don't know how to send it, but I'll post it to him directly.
Yeah.
But it is on the GIS page. And there's something, of course, that I need to clarify, or not really clarify, but to explain once we get into talking about what the school schedule is going to be like for the first month, which is September.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good day.
You have a blessed one too, and don't fall down any ladder because of foolishness, please, sir.
All right. Mr. Bola, I want to...
And please, I was not on a roll.
Yes,
you
was
said
on a roll.
to me,
no, it was on
go ahead and speak on that issue.
Look, I have people on the live video talking about how much of a roll you were on, Mr. Bola. You was on a roll.
Okay, well, if that's the way you all call it now in modern language, let's accept that.
It's a good thing, and I like when you're on a roll, because then I get a lot more information out of you.
Well, you have the flow to yourself, Ms. Duncan. Now, go ahead and educate, or try to explain in a simplified way as possible.
I'll try.
To the people what the schedules are like.
I'll try to bring it down to a level of a grade 2 level, because I'm very familiar with being a grade 2 teacher. So let's bring it down to a grade 2 level. Now, for the parents who are listening, and for those of you who aren't parents but you're listening, but you know parents who have questions and who are concerned, then I'm asking that you go ahead and share that information with them as well.
And you will post it, right, as you said?
Yes, and it is on the GIS page. However, I do want to make this comment very, very clear. Now, GIS, or the Government Information Services, on the request of the Ministry of Education, I'm presuming, posted a schedule for schools, right? In that schedule, they gave dates and a fixed different information to it. I want to make it clear to the general public that this schedule is what we call a skeleton or a template, right? The template is meant for you to follow. However, I know in some schools, they may have, or let's start with what GIS has. GIS, or the Ministry of Education, has, on Monday the 7th of September, Form 5s will report to school. Now, in some schools, some secondary schools, who have already sent out their school-specific schedules, because even before this came out, my daughter is going to St. Joseph Convent, and the St. Joseph Convent sent out already all of the days in which my daughter is expected to return to school for the month of September. So I already know all of the days or the proposed days, because we don't know what's going to happen. So I already know the proposed days that my daughter is expected to go to school for the month of September. So every school will, according to their what they're able to handle, they will develop now a schedule that is specific. But this template basically shows what the ministry is expecting to happen within that first week.
But may I just pitch in with something here? There were some schools that they specifically listed.
Yes, and that would be Wesley College, Anglican High School, St. Joseph Convent, Grenville, St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School, the Grenada Christian Academy, St. John's Christian Academy, St. Rose Modern Secondary School, the Grenada Seventh-day Adventist Comprehensive School, and Victoria School for the Deaf. For special education, right?
These schools will send specific information based on what they say to parents.
And I'm quite sure, or I want to believe, that this information will be quite different from this template that is being given. But even with the template, the schools themselves will select. Like, for example, the Ministry of Education has listed Monday for Form 5 students. In some of the schools, that is not the case. There is a different form affixed to that date, but the schedule still remains the same. One form per day for that week. So what I would advise parents to do is to look for information from your school. I know Wesley College, either today or yesterday, had orientation. Happy Hill Secondary School as well for Form 1s had orientation yesterday. So some schools are proceeding with their orientations because they are ready, right? They are ready ahead of schedule, which is actually a wonderful thing, to go ahead and do that. So look for schools. I know my son is in grade 6 and he attends the Seventh-day Adventist school, primary school, and he has to report to school on Monday from 8 to 12, I believe, right? So different schools will provide specific instructions for how they want to operate within this template. And I need to stress on that, because you hear, and even on the live video last night, I saw a lot of parents saying that, well, I ain't hear my child's school name, or, you know, how this supposed to work. I saw even just a while ago, I had to respond to a teacher who is saying that this information that the Ministry of Education posted is contrary to what their school has. But there are only little details that are really different, but the template remains the same. So please, if you can help with information, please do so. There will be parents that will be confused because 1, they don't listen in, 2, they don't read in, 3, they're depending on too much propaganda and hearsay, so they're always running away with the wrong information. But if you can lead someone in the right direction, do so. So each school will provide a specific day that they want a specific grade or a specific form to report to school, but the template remains the same. So on the first week of school, each form will return to school on a different day, right? For preschools, there would be a parent in the first week. There will be a parent-teachers conference. The 4+ children are expected to return to school. Parent-teacher conference for 3+ students will happen, and then the 3+ students will return to school. So the 4+ students, your parents would go to school first, then the children will return to school, then the 3+ parents would go to school, and then the 3+ children will return to school. Like I said, specific schools have specific schedules. So Green Street, for example, might switch that up and say, well, 3+ gonna come first, and then 4+ gonna come after. But what is important is the template, and for you to wait on your school to provide you with information.
Or call if you're not sure. Call your specific school that your child is going to. Don't believe that what one school is doing will be exactly the same in the school that your child is going to. Different schools may have just a slightly different way in which they deal with their thing. So get in touch with your child's school not the
Absolutely.
other school that the neighbor child going to, or her friend or his friend is going to. Because his friend's school says, well, I'm in Form 2 and I had to go on Wednesday, does not necessitate
That
the
your
fact that
child,
your
yeah.
child's school will be Wednesday for Form 2 as well. Right? It
Absolutely.
may be Monday, it may be Thursday, it may be Friday, because different schools do it differently. So get in touch. That's the advice that we can give. And do it now. Don't wait. When I say now, in this minute, yes, if you could do it this minute, great. But don't wait until school starts and everything become chaotic and then you want to call.
Yes.
As I was saying earlier on, this school term will be a challenging one. Things
Of
will be
course.
different. Not the way we always knew it. Not the it will be the new normal, as we say. Why is it for a month? Because at the end of the month, assessments will be made. Well, constantly they will be assessing, but I believe at the end of the month, there will be an overall assessment that will determine, come the following month, can we do it different? Has things changed that much that makes a difference? You know, or do we keep it the same way? So you have to give time, and you have to be patient, and you have to be understanding. We are not living in normal times.
Right. Also, I want to make mention that on the first weekend, the minister did speak about this, and she's spoken over the past 2 weeks. I think I've heard the minister almost twice per week on different radio programs and so on, speaking about what the plans are, what the expected plans are for the reopening of schools. So the first week will be that orientation week, where each form would be expected to report to school and to get that little orientation with the teachers and so on. The second week of school, we're just saying, will be published after everyone would have been clear of the week 1 schedule. Then for week 2, right? That would do with the needs assessment and meeting with the teachers and so on. That would be done within the second week of the school, right? Now that engagement is apparently for the Ministry of Education and for teachers and parents as well very important, because it would help children and teachers and parents as well to get accustomed to or start coping with this new normal. And of course, in that week, that second week, they're expected to collect information from parents that would help them to do that needs assessment. What does your child need? Is it an issue where you are fearful that your child cannot come to school because they have some grave underlying issue that you are concerned about? These things will be catered for in the second week. So I hear people out there saying that they don't know what's going on and so on. And even I hear some teachers saying that, but I find it hard to believe that as a teacher, you don't know what's going on in your school, but yet other schools are confident enough to send out schedules and to say, okay, this is what is happening.
Maybe
right?
they have not met with the principal as yet. I don't know. That's what I can suggest. Maybe they have not yet had a staff meeting.
Maybe.
Because I guess to come up with whatever proposal any school
would
has,
have to happen
they
that
must
way.
have that meeting of minds that
Right.
the teachers and the principal and the manager of the school and whoever must come together and finalize and that is dependent on space and everything else.
And everything else,
That
yeah.
is what is going to
And
be
then
the
these
difference.
teachers now must then consult their principal and say, hey, we are here. If you go on social media and say you don't know what's going on in your school, how does that fix the problem? Contact your boss, which is your principal, and say to him or her, listen, school opening in 5 days. When are we having a staff meeting? When are we going to sit down and decide?
But that is odd to believe. How do
Of
we know?
course it's odd
How do
to
we know
believe.
that some of the postings are not people who present themselves as teachers to give a
Exactly.
bad look and a bad name to the teachers?
That's what I say. I find it so strange that schools are so confident, like
Yeah.
saying St. Joseph Convent, St. George's, for the Form 1s, and I'm sure that has been done for all the other forms as well. I know every single day my child is expected to go to school and the purpose for which she is going. I know every single day that I have to go to the school and the purpose for which I am going. Right? They sent that out. But even if they didn't send it out, I would call the school and find out because it's my duty. My son who goes to SDA, I wasn't sure up until yesterday what exactly was happening for Monday until I met a teacher in St. George in the town yesterday, and I asked him, I said, well, I'm not sure what is happening for Monday, but can you give me a little clarity? And he said, well, we only met today, so that information will be released tomorrow. I say, okay, well, just in case I don't get it, tell me what I'm supposed to do. He said, well, your son is going to grade 6, so he's expected to go to school from Monday from 8 to 12. Bam. Just like that. I'm sure every parent has a teacher's number because your child in a class.
Well, every parent should have a
Yes,
teacher's number.
because your
I
child
mean,
is in a
don't say
class.
that you're sure, Ms. Duncan.
I'm
because
sure.
No. There are times when things that should be basic
Are not basic.
for some people, right? I would believe that the majority of parents, because they're so concerned about what should be happening to the child and the child's schooling and want to get information on what is happening, that the majority of parents will have a number to reach a teacher one way or the other, or the principal or the school. But I don't want to guarantee because I don't have nothing to guarantee really.
Well, then how can your child be going to school and you not have a teacher's number? Not one teacher in the school?
So would you doubt the fact, Ms. Duncan, that there are some homes, some parents, who don't know whether the child went to school for a week or not, and they live in the same house?
I wouldn't doubt
Well, so, I mean, why is it magical to believe
because I've seen it happen.
or mysterious to believe that there are some parents who don't have
Well, if that is the
absolutely no
case-
contact with the school?
Well, if that is the case, then they need to get a contact. I
Well,
urge them.
I agree that they need to,
urge
and that herein lies the point that I was trying to make earlier on. That all of us as parents need to take greater interest
Yeah.
in what is happening to our children, whether it is at school, at church, in the club that they go to, whether they play football or netball. Because sometimes we rely on the people that are in charge when our children is in their care, and we think that everything is okay. And we don't ever take one moment to inquire. As a matter of fact, there are some parents that are happy when they are approached or the children come to them and say, I want to join this club or that club, because in their mind, it's taking away some of that time and responsibility that they would have with their children. And that should not be the way. Yes, we should encourage our children to be well-rounded and be involved in a lot of other activities other than just straight academics and schoolwork, right? But we have to, as the parent, take a vested interest, whatever that extracurriculum activity may be. We have to take a vested interest. We must know who the tutor is, who the trainer is, who the coach is, whatever.
Yeah.
We need to know that. And we need to know their background. We need to know where they live. We need to have their phone number. Should something happen to your child, you know exactly
Yeah.
who your child should have been, whose care your child should have been in, who that person is, whether they are married or not, whether they live with a family or they live with all of those things you need to know, not because you want to labor your mouth in people's business, but because it is your business to know who will be taking care of your child when it is not you as the parent that is doing it. Yes?
Yeah.
So these things are absolutely important, and more important now than ever before, because we are in very challenging times. We are in times where if you don't mind your own business, something else, I don't even sure if it's someone else, but it may be something else may mind it for you. When you really decide to mind your own business, you might be so far gone and so far swept by the wave that you may be already in drowning waters.
Yeah.
And we don't want that for anyone. So please, let's loosen up. Some of us who are so tight up and so angry and believe because NNP didn't bring COVID into Grenada. Dr. Mitchell didn't cause COVID to happen. As a matter of fact, because of his skillful leadership and the work of the other people around, doctors and medical experts and so forth, we are in the position that we are in today where we can talk about being COVID-free. So let's not allow these things to affect our judgment and interfere with our responsibilities for our children.
Absolutely.
Let's do what we should.
Absolutely. So I'm appealing to the parents, please listen to or find out, call your school, find out what is happening as it relates to the reopening of your specific school, because the dates may be different for your child's grade or your child's form. but the template is what is important. So the first week of school, you have that orientation period where your child goes in form by form and meet with their teacher. I know for St. Joseph Convent, on that day, which is Friday, when the Form 1s go in, they are there from 8 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. They sent us an entire schedule that involves when they're going to have their break, when they're going to have their lunch, what they're going to be doing within periods and all of that. We got all of that information. Every school may not have that kind of foresight. They may have in their head what they want to do. They may have an idea of what they want to do. But what I'm saying is speak to your school. Call a teacher, call a parent that knows, and try to find, I'd prefer that you call a teacher, but find out what is happening if you do not at this point know what's going on. The time that you took to post on social media that you don't know is the time that you could have scrolled through the phone book, get a phone call somewhere, and call the school, because the teachers have been in school since the 24th of August. So they are there. Find a parent who has a teacher's number and call. And it's time for us to start being proactive and serious about our children's education. Too long we have been mixed up and tied up in too much political melee that children stand to suffer as a result of it. When you go on Facebook and post you don't know what's going on with your child's school, how does that help with you figuring out what is happening? Because somebody else with their own opinion is going to respond to you on Facebook, and that may not be the correct information. So call the school. I can't believe that we have to sit here this morning and tell big people that, but we have to do what we have to do.
You can't believe.
I find it hard to believe.
Our role here on this program is to bring information that is factual, bring information that is going to help people make positive choices, bring information that is going to get people thinking on their feet. We are not here to curse anyone. We are not here, and maybe it may seem strange, but it is true that there are still some parents who have not gotten it into their skull yet, that they have a role, they have a function, they have a responsibility for their children. There are still some who believe that their only function and role is to pop the children out, and that's it.
And that's it. We have a call on the line, Mr. Bowler. Let's take this call quickly. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Teacher, and good morning, Mr. Counselor.
Good morning, sir. I still remain Roland Bowler. How are you?
I know your name, sir, and I know Miss Duncan's name. But you are a counselor and she's teacher.
All right.
Now, I was trying to ask.
Yes.
When you say parents, do you include grandparents? Because I'm an old grandfather.
Of course we
include
you.
Do you include godmothers and godfathers?
All guardians.
Well, we say parents and guardians. It's stretching it a bit when we say godmother and godfather, because in the earlier days, maybe in your time, in my earlier years, godparents played an integral role, a more active role. In today's world, they just had a name. They don't even remember. So it might be a little too hard. Some of them don't even go in the church. You just say, put down my name. Here's the $5 or the $10,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure that we want to stretch it as far as godparents. But if there are those who want to play a role, we say, well done. Do it. It's for the betterment of the
Okay. Okay, thank you, because I'm back in the grandfathers. They're supposed to step in if they see things are not going well.
Good.
Absolutely.
Have a blessed day.
You as well. Take good care.
You too, Miss.
Happy grandfather he is.
Happy grandfather he is. But yes, all guardians, and you see, that's why we talk about leadership roles, because when you appoint somebody to be a child's godparent,
yes,
it means that they also have to play an active role.
Yep.
It's not just for when you're dead, we're fighting over who is the best godparent to give the child to. No, it has to be that you have to play an active role in the upbringing of that child, in the discipline, in the education, and all of that. You have to play an active role. So parents, guardians, grandparents,
and godparents,
aunties and
uncles. If you remember who your godchild is.
Yes. Aunties and uncles, whoever it is that is responsible for looking after that child, please contact the schools. Let them inform you. Some of the schools probably will meet as late as today, so would provide information. But mind you, you knew school was opening. I mean, you knew school was supposed to open on the 7th of September. You should have been making preparations to at least prepare your child for the beginning of school, regardless of if that happened on the 7th or happened after the 7th of September. You should have been prepared or preparing for that to happen. So saying that you didn't hear nothing, so you didn't make no preparations, is really, really an irresponsible excuse, right? So please, if you haven't started preparing, you can go ahead and start preparing today. More than likely, your child is only going to go to school for one day in the first week of school, so that all schools can accommodate all children of all forms or grades. So please, make an effort to get prepared. If you have not heard from your school by the end of the day today, then call them tomorrow. Let the phones be ringing off the hook tomorrow, so that you can get that necessary information for your child to return to school. And remember, what the ministry has provided is a template. Schools will have their specific information. For example, and I like to work with examples. Maybe that came from my teaching days, but I like to use practical examples or things that are relevant in the now. We have a few schools who have already sent out their schedules. So Wester Hall Secondary School, their orientation day is today from 9 o'clock. That is already ongoing. It probably almost finished, right? And they made mention early this morning that they were not changing that because they already made preparations to do it. They are ready. So why not? They can go ahead and do it, right? And it shows that they are forward thinking. It means that they have been working because they are ready. St. David Catholic Secondary School on the 7th of September, they will have Form 1. On the 8th, Form 2. On the 9th, Form 3. On the 10th, Form 4. And on the 11th, Form 5. The preceding week for parents, the 14th of September, Form 1 parents, the 15th Form 2, 16th Form 3, 17th Form 4, 18th Form 5. And that's what I mean. There are schools who have already put out schedules for the second week, which means they know what is happening, right? The Anglican High School, they are doing, and that is what the minister meant when she said that they had specific schedules that would deal with specific schools, Anglican High School being one of those schools. They're doing it by batches. So on the, let me see here, orientation for Form 1 students will take place on the 9th of September at 9 a.m. Students will be accommodated in 2 batches according to their surnames. So batch 1 would be surnames beginning with A to J from 9 to 10:30, and batch 2 would be students' surnames beginning with the letters K to W from 11 to 12:30. GBSS also one of those schools that will be doing their orientation in batches on Thursday the 3rd of September. Students plus 1 parent or guardian, right, whose last names begin with A to J, 9 to 11, and L to Z, 12 to 2 p.m. So schools have been putting out their schedules. You just have to take that extra effort to find it. St. Mark's Secondary School is another school. Monday the 7th of September, they will be, they actually went with the exact template that the ministry provided. Yes. Monday the 7th, Form 5. Tuesday the 8th September, Form 4. Wednesday the 9th of September, Form 3. Thursday the 10th of September, Form 2. Friday the 11th of September, Form 1. All students, must be in full uniform, and their orientation begins at 9. So please, make it your duty. It is your responsibility as a parent to find out when your child is expected to return to school. If you have not yet seen one of the many flyers that these schools have been putting out for the reopening of schools, of their specific school, or their specific schedule. I want to just quickly read here for St. Joseph Convent, because I did not find it on social media, but we have a chat. So parents have been informed via that medium when our children are expected to return to school. So it reads here that on Friday, the 11th of September, 2020, from 8 a.m., the students Form 1 must attend school in full uniform. They even told them what to bring, their sanitizer, their bag, their pen, their face mask, and so on. And the teachers will receive the students on arrival, right? Lunch and snacks may be provided may be purchased, at the school's tuck shop. So the tuck shop would be open. They're there from 9 to 2. Now, the second phase of orientation, as they stated, is for students and a meeting of parents. So I would need to go to school with my daughter on that day from 9 o'clock to 12, and that is happening on the 18th of September, right? Students must attend in full school uniform, carrying the items that were stated above, and parents will be provided with critical information for the academic term ahead, while students will be engaged in a developmental session, right? And on the 24th of September, my daughter again must return to school to do a national baseline assessment. The minister did speak about that they will be assessing all of the students in Form 1. I'm not sure if it's just Form 1 or all of the students in all of the forms to see exactly where they are at, right? So, like I said, Mr. Bola, the schools, the teachers, and the principals have been working, because in order for them to come up with something so detailed, it means that they've met, they've discussed, and they have found ways in which they can make it work. We, the general public, must now try our best to make this thing work, because are we going to now say, and I looked at the hypocrisy of a lot of us. When school closed, we complained, school shouldn't close. We didn't have no COVID because the children need to go to school. They need that interaction, being home. They don't have devices. They don't have internet. They're falling by the wayside. Or they depend on the school feeding program. Some children won't have no meals because they can't eat now because COVID and all of that. Now that school is reopening, the same ones of you, and don't think we don't know who you are, because screenshot working real good on social media. For some of the two-tongued people that we have in Grenada who say one thing when the situation is different and another in a different
Well, they say what suits them
at the time
and works for them at the time.
Because I hear them now saying leave them home.
Tongue changes color.
You know how is a serpent that have a split in the middle of the tongue?
Yes, I think these reptiles. Most reptiles, they do.
That's what they are. They're talking from either side of the tongue.
Oh, so they may be classified as reptiles, or could be. I don't know. They say they're normally cold-blooded animal. And if you're cold-blooded, sometimes you don't get that feel for things
maybe is that,
as warm-blooded people
I
do.
didn't think I never thought about that, you see? Look at that. That's why I need you. So, Mr. Bola, these are the same people who turn around now and say, what are they opening school for? Little children, let them learn at home. But you were the ones who said that they couldn't stay home and
But you remember even all the fight back, even with the unions. And I mean, the unions was trying to make the point that it was impossible to homeschool the children. It was impossible for teachers to be using the devices to teach children at home. I mean, it just a whole lot of confusion some people just likes to make. Because you see, it defeats what they want to achieve when things work in a very structured and organized way, and when it appears as though the government and the ministries are in control and aware of what they're doing. Now, the more chaotic the situation is, the better it serves their purpose, because they have a point to raise. They have things that they can talk about. And am I saying that in every single situation that the government and the ministries and the ministers have had it, top shot or clear cut? No. There have been a lot of situations where the ball has been dropped. But when they do, please give them credit for it. They've been trying. The ministry, all of the people, the teachers. We must even give praise to the union, because I think in most instances there were dialogues. The unions, what they didn't agree with, they say, and they say why they didn't agree. What they thought could not have worked, they brought it forward. The ministry looked at it, proved to them that some of it could work. What had to be changed was changed. So there's this constant dialogue. But again, this is testament to who and what NNP is. NNP is a party that don't just make decisions and move. They listen. Sometimes with the urgency of wanting to get things done, they have greater impetus and they try to do things because they want to bring benefit to people. And sometimes the people put their hand up and say, but wait, you're moving too fast for me. They always listen and stop. They go back to consultation if that is what people want. They go back to redrafting if that is what is necessary. They bring the information in diverse ways to people if that is what will solve the problem. But it is democracy at work. It shows you that you are dealing with a group of people. You're dealing with a party. You're dealing with a leadership in your country that understands, while we have been given a mandate by the people through the electoral process, we still at times have to stop and listen. May not necessarily agree with what the people are saying, but we need to listen.
Yeah.
And so the unions had made their point, the ministry listened, the cabinet discussed, decisions are taken, and it is in the best interest of our children and their education. It is the safest way that the teachers can interact with the children. If you have a point, or if you know something, or you see something that has the potential to do something different to the results that is expected, come forward and say. But if you can't say that, stop laboring your mouth about all kind of foolishness that you don't even know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
It irks me sometimes.
I just want to quickly make the comment here for the individual, he knows who he is, who has been calling. We just wanted to make sure that we got that information out. But we are going to take your call, and it's going to be the last call for the day, so you can try calling back because I want to assume that he has something very important to say. He has been calling. But we just want to make sure that we made that point, that parents, it is your don't let nobody tie you up and tell you all sorts of foolishness. You know, it is your responsibility. Make the effort. Take that initiative. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
I heard everything that you said. I have more patience than Job because God gave me all that Job had when he died.
Oh, okay.
Lucky you. Lucky you.
So how you all do?
We're okay for today.
All right. Doc, when you're getting all these accolades, don't throw it away.
Yes, Doc, I agree.
What you deserve is what you're going to get.
Well, I agree with that too.
Bag,
yes.
And just put everything there.
Put everything in the bag.
Yeah, so when you have to do, as they call it, when you have to do your CVQ,
yes,
you have more to add to it.
I hear you. A little laughter is good for the soul. But not only the soul, in fact.
Yeah, a little humor now and then is always good.
Yeah, in fact.
For the wise people on the radio station.
Good. Let me just say that quickly to you. In
fact.
fact.
Briefly. I want to congratulate you, sir. For about 10 minutes ago, the little admonition, because you see, radio is powerful, and you have to come across on radio in a very subtle way, so that perhaps people will not will not know that you identify them. Mm-hmm. As you said, you can't be angry with people because you're there to bring information and to teach, you see? And so once you're going to have people with attitudes coming through, you have to bring in some humility,
yes,
and as you see, guide them along, because that's what the read is for. You can't give them any indication that, look, I don't want to hear you. And no, you're getting at me because you shouldn't be thinking that way. No. You have to accept all those things and then to pitch in the what you call the advice.
Yes.
So that you can control. You see, it's all about diplomacy. It's all about diplomacy. I know you have a science there in diplomacy, and I credit you with that.
Thank you.
Trust me, so. So the lady, she's young.
Oh, yeah, but
And,
she's learning quick.
Yes, and she's going to be aggressive sometime. But you are there, seasoned, to slow her down and to guide her. And I'm thanking you for that. And I'm asking her, please, to absorb it. Because as you get older, you said you're a teacher, that is what you will use to actually guide and direct the younger ones. The world is becoming more problematic, and so you take a lot of skill to actually guide people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much, and what a wonderful way to bring the cutting down on today's program. I mean, it was in my opinion, a very healthy one. We've seen a lot of comments. We couldn't read all of the comments because it would take another program to read all of the comments. And thank to all the people out there who appreciate what we are doing here. We really appreciate your comments too. Absolutely. And we don't only appreciate those that give us kudos. If we have slided, off the road a little bit, and you found something we've said or something we're doing that needs to be corrected, please also send us a message, in a respectful way. We are going to listen. Neither Ms. Duncan or myself consider us to be the repository of all knowledge. We don't know everything. We know some things. I know quite a few things, but I do believe that there are a lot of people out there who know a lot more things than I do, or may know some things in some areas, some aspect of what I know better than I do. And of course, I'm always willing to learn, but we believe that the conversation must continue, that we must continue to engage each other. HARDTALK is the place for that. Feel free. Give us a call, send us a message, link us up on Facebook, whatever. We are going to take your comments, and we are going to try to do better. It's unfortunate that we can't take any more calls today. We have come to that point where we have to cut off. And I say to you, let's continue to do what's best, not only for ourselves and for our children, but for our community and country at large. God bless you.
I just want to quickly note, somebody sent here to me the schedule for Grenville Secondary School, GSS.
Yes.
Form 1, you are expected to be at school on Monday the 7th of September at 8. Please note that one parent or guardian must accompany each Form 1 student. Now, as we said before, each school is doing it differently, because I don't have to go with my daughter on Monday for St. Joseph Convent, but there are other schools who are requiring that parents go with their children.
A parent or a guardian.
A parent, yeah. So you have to kind of find out from your school what's happening. Form 2s on Tuesday, Form 3s Wednesday, 4 Thursday, and 5 on Friday. And students of Forms 2, 3, 4s, and 5s are kindly asked to return all outstanding books. All right. Scotty, I hope you're in Vexa sending people to your page, but Sheldon has been very good with posting.
Oh, wonderful, Sheldon.
Those schedules as
but
he
he's
gets
good.
them.
He's good. He's very good at that.
Yes.
Eh?
As he gets
that's
the
one of his
schedules,
strong
he's
points.
posting them to his page. So, Scotty, I'm going to thief some of them from your page and put them on
You're
the
not
HARDTALK
stealing.
page. Or
Scott,
you can share it. You can share it as
Scotty
well.
is always willing to share. He's not that kind of guy that is so self-centered and selfish. He's going to share it with you.
He's going to share.
So don't go all around
but
trying
that's
to
okay.
steal.
I don't need to steal it, Scotty. Please feel free to just share it to we HARDTALK page, and because there's one family,
of course,
save me the work and share it for me. And he's good at posting all of these things, so as soon as he gets it, he posts it. So guys, either check out his page, check out our page, and instead of looking to cause confusion on social media, look through social media for who is posting the information that you need, that is going to help you when it comes time for your child to return to school on Monday, or for some parents during the latter part of this week. Guys, we have come to the end of our program. Remember, we are not here with you tomorrow because there is sitting of the Senate, but we will be back here with you on Monday. As we say here every day, in whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe, be secure. We always want to be talking with you, and we don't ever want to be talking about you. Please do enjoy the remainder of your day and stay tuned for the National Report.
$1.6 million bypass road to be constructed in Happy Hill under the Basic Needs Trust Fund project. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. To the news for Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020, I am Rakisha St. Louis. The Happy Hill Bypass Road, a project undertaken by the Basic Needs Trust Fund and awarded to Gilbert and Partners at an estimated cost of 1.6 million EC dollars, will connect two existing roads upon completion. Jason Williams, project engineer with the BNTF, says the overall objective of the project is to create access for residents who live and farm in the area.
Upon completion, we have approximately 1,355 feet of reinforced concrete pavement, which you also have box drains on one side, a well slipper, and they're going to be retaining structures such as retaining walls, reinforced concrete retaining walls, and also in some areas you're going to be utilizing the rocks that are found in the area to create embankments. Now, in mitigating some of the challenges, because it's a rocky area, some areas you'll have to actually somewhat pin the rocks, so that actually comes as an added benefits to the resident in terms of disaster management. So we're going to ensure, the contractor will ensure that all rocks are properly secured upon leaving the project.
The BNTF's project engineer says Grenlec has partnered with them to remove and relocate poles in a timely manner so that the work can proceed.
At presently, some of the poles are directly in the center alignment of our roadway. We've partnered with Grenlec in terms of Grenlec will have to remove the poles and relocate it, and also we're going to see a removal or transferring of existing service lines onto the new poles. This process is expected to take no more than 3 weeks to complete. And the main factor being in terms of delaying is the rugged terrain of the area, which have a lot of rocks, and also due to some of the inclement weather, which makes it almost impassable, and in some cases it prevents or hinders any significant work to be done when there is either heavy downpours or hours after heavy downpours.
Parliamentary representative for the area, Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, says the construction of the access road is long overdue and will open up opportunities for residents in the area.
The construction of the Happy Hill By Road, which is a major, something of major interest to the community for years, because it will open up quite a lot of possibilities with a lot of the land that exists in that area. You will see people who own properties in that area may be willing to develop them, and there are potential opportunities for agricultural activities in the lands that were available. But because of the lack of a road, it affected the development in those areas.
Once the utility poles have been removed and replanted and work fully resumes, Williams says the Happy Hill Bypass Road is projected to be completed by January 2021. Minister for Education, Human Resource Development, Religious Affairs and Information, Honorable Emmeline Pear, will address the reopening of schools in a speech to be aired at 8 o'clock tonight. Schools will reopen on Monday, September 7th, 2020, utilizing a staggered approach, which means that not every student will be back in the classroom on that day. The process will be guided by the national plan that was drafted after extensive consultations between the Ministry of Education and stakeholders. That plan will look at psychosocial support for returning students, as well as the health and safety of staff and students. Minister Pear is also expected to outline plans to utilize a blended approach to learning that incorporates e-learning and classroom instruction. The Honorable Minister's address will be broadcast live on GIS Channel 22, the GIS Facebook page, and the Ministry of Education's Facebook page. Continuing the news, work is now completed on the new sanitary block at the St. Dominic's RC School to the tune of $196,800 EC dollars. The project was carried out under the supervision of the Basic Needs Trust Fund, BNTF, a division of the Rural Development Unit. Principal of the St. Dominic's RC School, acting Patricia Thomas, says the completion of the sanitary block is welcomed as they are now preparing to reopen the school in keeping with the COVID-19 protocols.
This is one of the most happiest days for me at St. Dominic's. This toilet has been here since the school started in the late 1960s. So that is what was being used in my time and before me. So it is very, very happy that we now have this brand new facilities. This is even more joyful because of the COVID situation where we have to be careful with sanitizing and the safety of our students and so on.
Work began in November 2019 with a completion date of March 2020, but delays due to COVID-19 and the limited state of emergency pushed the completion date to May 2020. Stevenson Gordon, contractor of Stego Construction Limited, says the work involved removal of the existing toilets and installation of new ones.
What we did, we do plumbing and electrical throughout, because the building was more or less constructed with some what they call like a sort of a metal fiber material, which was done since the construction, the early construction. So we had, as I said, had to demolish all the frames, discard them, and then put up new block wall.
Monitoring and Evaluation Officer at the BNTF, Kizian Abraham, says the St. Dominic's sanitary block is one of a number of projects on the BNTF's education portfolio.
We are very satisfied with the quality in terms of keeping the project within budget, within time frame. Had it not been for COVID, we would have been right on schedule to complete it at the end of March. And we're also pleased with the quality of the re-engineering that has been done in terms of the toilet facilities that have been installed for the students. These are all child-friendly installments, so it's not adult toilets, it's children-size facilities. A facility that they can feel comfortable in, that is safe, secure, and fosters the sort of hygiene, safe hygiene that we want students to practice.
The St. Dominic's RC School has a student population of 247. This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
The house was shaking. Then suddenly saw we hear bang, crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office.
A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and SEDERA.
Welcome back. The Climate Smart Agriculture and Rural Enterprise Program, CIEP, has launched its newly designed and official website, ciep.gov.gd. Sections of relevant categorized information are available to the general public on the website, which was launched on Monday. Program Committee Chair Alistair Bain commends the team for a job well done. He says in a technologically developing world, the website will be a source of providing relevant, constructive information.
I would like to commend the team for taking the initiative to create a website. I believe it is long overdue, but we have had the vision and we are now realizing that vision. Most importantly, I would like to commend Mr. Daniel. It is not very often that we take these type of initiatives using a local entrepreneur. And the recruitment of Mr. Daniel is very timely. It speaks volumes to the capacity and to the talent that we have locally. And when we see a young person venturing into this type of engagement, it gives us a lot of hope for the future. And it also resonates too with the projects of SIEP that also include business and entrepreneurial development.
Web developer and managing director of Azure IT Solutions, Kendall Daniel, is honored to be on this endeavor with the Climate Smart Agriculture and Rural Enterprise Program.
I must say that it's an honor to actually work with the team at SIEP to build out their website. And going digital is not an option anymore. I mean, we live in an age where everything needs to be digital immediate, I would say. So I would first like to take the opportunity to commend SIEP for actually making that move. It's a move in the right direction. So the team at ASIT, we work with the SIEP to develop their website. And what will be displayed today is our work in progress. We have put things in place to ensure that the website will be continuously updated. And when you think of development, you think of code. But what we did, we actually did a lot of the hard work in the back end so that the persons at SIEP wouldn't have to do any hard work. So it's gone are the days where you will sit down and develop from scratch or actually code. It's a matter of being able to use simple tools to deliver information.
Finally, in the news, the Grenada Airport Authority has added a new fire truck to its fleet. In 2018, the board received approval to purchase a new fire truck, Rescue 4, which is in keeping with regional and international standards. In November 2019, the unit was fully paid for at a value of $2 million EC. The keys for the Panther 6x6 unit was presented to ASP Glenroy Corian, officer in charge of the fire department at the RGPF, by the Minister for Tourism and Civil Aviation, Honorable Clarice Modeste Kerwin. The storage capacity is 3,170 gallons of water, 422 gallons dry foam, 500 pounds dry chemical, and the foam discharge is 2,100 gallons per minute. Chairman of the Board of Directors at the Grenada Airport Authority, Anya Chow Chung, described the purchase of the Rescue 4 as timely.
The commissioning of Rescue 4 brings us one step closer to our readiness and full preparedness for the return in earnest of major international airlines and the return in earnest of visitors to our shores. Of course, there's a term called these COVIDious times, but of course, while the climate is uncertain for the time being, we are optimistic. As the world surmounts the prevailing pandemic, travel will return. It is with this prognosis that we at the MBIA must stand ready and poised to manage our inward and outward bound passengers, our guests. Essentially, we have to be ready to manage our customers. Looking to the future, we are on the cusp of embarking on 2 major expansion projects, and I assure all that our extremely vital operation at Lauriston Airport in Carriacou will certainly not be excluded from these plans.
While commended the Grenada Airport Authority for their commitment during the COVID-19 period and the gradual reopening of the country, Minister for Tourism and Civil Aviation Clarice Modeste Kerwin expressed that maintaining regional and international standards of the airport is vital.
So we have to meet ECA standards, which is the regional body that control what we do or manage us, and we have to meet international standards. So it's not because we're small or we're poor or whatever. We got to meet it just as everybody else in the whole global village. And we have done that and maybe a little more. So we're going to maintain our Category 9, and we're going to stay right there. We won't be moving, but I really want to commend you for how you managed to make the payments. As we bring in more and more Grenadians, the question we have to ask ourselves, what happens when those who really want to come back, when that numbers start to dwindle, and we've seen them dropping, what happens? How do we attract visitors? What do we do? What more can we do? And I really look forward to the implementation of the 2 projects that were mentioned by our chairman that would enhance this whole airport facility and perhaps bring more cruise ship, bring more airlines to this wonderful ground here. And perhaps you might be saying, well, not a lot of planes coming in, so why bother? But if we do not prepare now, we will not reap the harvest.
A 2-week training will commence on September 7th for maintenance of the rescue unit. The training will comprise of firemen, volunteers, among other personnel. That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, September 2nd. Let's recap the top story. $1.6 million bypass road to be constructed in Happy Hill under the Basic Needs Trust Fund project. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.